Breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Cyborg's Franky's turn for the What If series, where I talk about what if all of the Straw Hat Pirates who currently don't have a devil fruit was to receive a devil fruit currently within the storyline of One Piece. Now, if you've been keeping up with the series thus far, then you already know how this goes, so I'm just going to dive straight into it when I'm talking about Cyborg Franky. And I have to be honest with everybody, when I was doing this video and researching for this video for Franky, I found it increasingly difficult to think of a devil fruit that would work with him, due to the simple fact that because he is a cyborg, he already has an insane repertoire of weapons and gadgets and gizmos at his disposal. And I was like, well, what more can I give him? And I was really trying to think, well, he's just a jack of all trades. He has so many things, you never know what he's going to pull out next. And that got me thinking about a devil fruit that we've seen in the past that is really a wild card for what it can be used for. And we've seen it once and appeared in the Dressrosa arc, and the devil fruit that I'm talking about and referring to is none other than Baby Five's devil fruit, the BuChE no Mi. Alright, now, the BuChE no Mi gives the user the ability to change their body into any kind of weapon. The user can either transform small parts of their body, like the fingers, hands, or arms, or a larger body section, such as their entire torso or even their whole body, into a weapon. The reason I felt like this could really jive well with Franky's because he already has so many things at his disposal. I'm not even sure if we have seen everything that Oda has drawn into Franky, because if you remember, during the time skip, Franky landed on Vegapunk's home island, where he got into Vegapunk's old lab that he had, and he used his old schematics in order to augment his body even further to add the shoulder missiles and the nose hair button that he has, the radical beam, the baby hand inside of his big hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has so many things, and he's just gained a wealth of knowledge from being in Vegapunk's lair for those 2 years that we are not even sure if everything that we saw was all that he has to, you know, offer. So I was thinking, well, Baby Five is just she's like a walking Pandora's box. You never know how many weapons that she can turn into, right? We've seen her during the Dressrosa arc. We've seen her with the arm gun, the finger pistol. She turned half her body into a sword. She turned the other half of her body into a scythe, and she even turned into a full-on missile. You see what I'm saying? And that's not even everything that we saw from her. That's just like the most notable, because I don't feel like I have to go and read off and find all those pictures of everything that Baby Five has turned into. But we know that Baby Five's job that she really had was to carry out assassinations. And then I was thinking, well, what could Franky really do with this devil fruit? Well, I was thinking along the lines of, and this is only if, and only if, it's not just weapons. I know I just read off the definition. It says that she can turn into weapons, but I was also thinking, okay, well, what if he could do the same thing with tools, right? He can turn into tools because he is the shipwright, and he's basically a scientist at this point, because he was following Vegapunk's schematics, and Vegapunk is a scientist. He's not a shipwright, but nonetheless, Franky was able to turn his entire body into a cyborg. So that requires a very high knowledge of mathematics and just formulaic processing. But even if that wasn't the case and he's not able to turn into, you know, tools, the fact that he would have so many weapons at his disposal, you would never know how to deal with him in a battle scenario. You see what I'm saying? The one thing that struck me very hard when I was coming up with this devil fruit was I didn't know if it was, because the BuChE no Mi reminds me so much of the Munch Munch fruit that Wapol has, where he has to eat the item, and as long as it stays within his digestive system, he can access it all the time. With the BuChE no Mi, it never seemed as though Baby Five had that same limitation. She could just turn into it whenever she wanted to, and there would seem to be no time limit to it. I mean, even when she turns into a missile, it states that while transformed into a weapon, the user does not take any damage inflicted as a result of that weapon's impact, such as detonating while in a state of an explosive. If the user's body is broken apart as a result of the weapon's intended effect, the pieces can easily reform into the user's full body undamaged, akin to a Logia. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that we've seen Baby 5 turn into basically a cruise missile, right? Say Luffy instructed Franky, if he had this devil fruit, to go and blow up his ship, right? So Franky would turn into a cruise missile, jettison over to the ship, blow it up, detonate it, and of course once it detonates, it fragments and, you know, just explodes everywhere. Well, because Franky would have been in that missile state due to his devil fruit, he would be unaffected by it. And that's just a missile. I mean, you could turn it really into any explosive, you know, weapon and the same effect would happen, making this man virtually indestructible when he is in that state and completely unharmed. That's massive. I mean, it really is. At that point, the only thing Franky would have to worry about is somebody recovering him once the, you know, the ship sinks. Somebody would have to go into the ocean and fish him out of the ocean because he would have sank with the ship. We also don't know how long it would actually take for Franky to, you know, pull his body back together. My God, imagine if Franky turned into an entire nuclear bomb. That's why I didn't even think of that when I was originally making my points for this video. Wow, if he turned into a nuke, and because he is unaffected by his own devil fruit's explosive power, he could nuke Wano right now if he had that devil fruit, and this would all be over. I don't see Kaido surviving a nuclear blast, let alone the radiation that comes after the nuclear bomb. Yeah. Franky would be a very, very, very dangerous man. Sadly, when it came to the end of how I end these videos, when it comes to their bounty, Franky just simply, he does not have a lot of feats. His bounty would increase. Well, currently his bounty right now, as it stands in Wano, his bounty, I really thought it was more than this when I was looking up the bounties for Franky. I thought I was looking at the wrong wanted poster, but this is his bounty currently still. His bounty sits at a powerful 94 million berries. With this devil fruit, I would give Cyborg Franky an increase of 200 million berries, making his new bounty 294 million berries. I think that would be generous. I really think that would be generous considering the devil fruit that he does have. I would have made it more, but, you know, Franky isn't exactly a, you know, physical brawler. It's not like he is a swordsman of any kind, so I don't see him making his body into a sword. I think what Franky would use the most, Franky loves explosives, so I think he would be transforming his arms into pistols or into cannons or gatlings or things of that nature. I don't see him going, you know, I see him going full Rambo, but I don't see him, you know, being like Zoro and using the sword or the scythe or any of those types of utilities. If he is able to transform his body into different tools, well, he no longer needs a toolkit. The missile would be very viable. Only thing that would be troubling is having to retrieve him if he is going to use it to attack ships. Now on Wano, he could easily go and blow up Orochi's building, his, you know, palace or how have you. He could easily go and nuke most of the beast pirates and get them out the way, clear paths for Luffy and them. Again, this all depends on how long it would take for his body to reassemble after he is fragmented apart. After he fragments apart. But ladies and gentlemen, that is Franky's video. I will have Franky's video up today, and I'm going to try to get Jinbei's up as well. If you made it to the end, thank you for rocking with me. Gold Plus Ultra, if you are new, and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know you're rocking with the content that I put out here in this channel. Like the video, share the video, comment on the video what devil fruit you would give Franky. And like always, keep it safe and wrap it tight. I'm out.